Right, David has sent me a link. Chrono24, or technically it's now Chrono28, I think,
At
because
least.
we
Wasn't
keep
it
on talking
25?
about
Is
it.
it going to go up each week?
It's going to go
Yes.
every time we talk about it. It
There
goes
was
up
some
one.
after market hours activities that pushed it up from some competitors. So yeah, we're
Yes.
currently at 28 to
We're currently at
prevent
28.
prevent the undercut.
There will be a crash at some point and we'll return to Chrono 1 or maybe a negative.
No, it'll be like Chrono next or plus or something like that.
Right,
I
here
think
we are.
Chronnext was the company that went under.
That does or did exist. There we go. So
Oh,
David,
I see.
this
So it's a combination of what I sent and another one.
Yeah.
right. So
yeah.
tell me why this is quite so horrific.
It's the best thing in all of human history, easily.
in all of watchdom. This is it. Is that right?
Yeah, but how do you call this horrific? This is fantastic.
It's insanely fantastic. And there's this video that I could find, which is impossible to find because it's in Japanese, and of course they don't recognize the existence of the rest of the world, where they craft these, and it's tough. Let me find it for you guys. Because it's of course it has to be handcrafted by a Japanese craftsperson, closely gazing at a spinning rotary milling machine and hand applying all these little cuts and stuff. So it's so good.
You know how we say that Seiko get inspired by mountains? Was the guy basically on, I don't know, crack cocaine or LSD or something, being inspired?
Oh, just an average day at Casio.
Average day at Casio.
Yeah,
look at this.
A bag of Haribos. He left it in a hot car. They all melted
Tang
together.
Fastics.
Right,
let me find. See if I can do this video.
It's actually, this was released as part of the 50th anniversary of the first Casio watch. This is actually a really recent one. So the one in the US was part of it. So this one has the even fancier bezel is part of the same production, just a slightly fancier bezel.
As usual,
go up to
JDM
30-second mark.
stuff, keeping the cool
30-second
stuff for the
mark.
market. Yeah.
There it is, 25, whatever. Look at this.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, jinx. That's actually reasonably impressive.
And then look at this.
Let's go
look
back
at
and appreciate this. Sorry, I skipped
my
forward.
Japanese harmony is ruined. So look at this. What sort of inspiration is that? That's from a subdial. All these little spirals come out.
Oh,
and
you
then
know what it
those
is.
apply to...
It's the Oceanus.
Oh yeah. A splash
hey,
of
that's normally David. You missed that joke. That's normally your job. David has you've let yourself down.
I'm very
the
happy.
vortex in the South Sea.
Look at this. And some of these you even get a glass in the box as well, a crystal glass. That's all we do with a similar.
Right. So
I wonder how fragile this is.
Like to drink out of?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
like
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
you
can
can drink it. Your cup can
out
match
of a
your
Casio
watch.
glass.
Does it have the same facet things cut into it, made of sapphire?
Sort of.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's cool. I like that. And how much does that cost you?
$3,500.
$3,500.
See,
Cheap
that's
at half the price.
That's the beverage watch thing I want. I don't need a $2 million Jacob & Co. package with a mediocre bottle of whiskey co-branded by Alec Monopoly. I'd much rather have a Casio Oceanus with a matching drinking glass.
With an entire ocean's worth of water.
Yeah.
For the record, that Jacob & Co. whiskey was the best I've ever had.
Is it really?
So that was very far from mediocre. Yeah.
The Alec Monopoly one. It sounded so.
No,
vague.
not the Monopoly one. I don't know about that, but like 5 years ago or whenever they were handing out these bottles of whiskey.
They sold some very expensive one.
Oh, I'm sure anything Jacob's own whiskey. This was the Alec Monopoly. Maybe it's the same one. It could be quite good. I didn't get an opportunity to try that. There were no review samples available.
Did you try any of the? I didn't have it. The Dr. Wu tequila.
Well, it's yeah, I did. It is good. I mean, you can't complain with like Don Julio 1942. But I was impressed that he had engraved bottles. That again speaks to the volume, or like I guess the prestige of him as an artist. That's not something the average tattoo artist has, co-branded bottles of tequila.
Merchandising.
Okay. Dr. Wu, I don't even want to go there. Right, we do a clapping at the show, but we've changed it because we don't need it anymore. So I thought this week we will clap in advance for Chrono24 going dark. So for the most inane marketing email that I receive, I think we just do that every week. We celebrate the most inane marketing email that we get sent every week. So any watch folk out there, including obviously you three, you just could be on the lookout for the piece of watch news that needs recognized as being just the most daft thing to tell us in any given week. So this week it goes to Chrono29, I think they're technically called because it's the 29th time I've mentioned them. Chrono29 and Going Dark. So let's begin with the show with a round of applause for Chrono29 Going Dark. There we go. Well done, Chrono24.
So by going dark, Rick, can you elaborate on what?
So I'll share the email if I can find it. So this was Chrono24 telling us this. How do I share an email on this? I'm going to share a window. It's getting complicated. There, let me just check that there's no personal detail on this coming from some marketing executive at Chrono24.
So
no, it's just from newsletter at Chrono24.
Down?
Yeah, so dark mode. Chrono24
introduced
by dark I remember this. This was a bad one.
Oh,
yeah.
So the app you can toggle on and off in your browser.
Well, it's on the app on the phone.
Yeah.
It's so that.
But they sent the whole email to let us know as though anybody cares.
Yes. So it's either so that you can sit on the toilet browsing Chrono24 and there not be a bright light shining underneath the door while you do it, or just to fulfill all those.
That's oddly specific, Rick.
or just to show the, you've got an ensuite toilet, you don't want to show, you have to sit there with the light out, or it's just fulfilling all those watch memes where it shows one partner or other, because I'm not going to be gender specific here, scrolling through Chrono24 rather than falling asleep. Or
if I recall from the marketing video, there was a man in an absurdly large public restroom on his phone, and you would need the light mode actually for more light in such a cavernous dark space. Is this to change up the skin so your significant other doesn't know you're browsing and shopping for watches? They got used to seeing Chrono24 in this light skin, predominantly white and gray, blue accent sort of mode. And that was correlated with, they're watch shopping. And now when they see some black screen, they're going to think it's something completely different. And not assume.
I'm just realizing I'm special because I've been sent this as part of the beta version testing. There you go. It's not available to everybody, so
will you report back on how this emits light from the toilet?
Yeah, so I need someone to volunteer to take a photograph from outside the toilet while I toggle between dark mode and normal mode. If anyone really wants to volunteer for that, then tap us up, podcast at aBlogtoWatch.com. So yeah, that's our clapometer for this week. It goes to,
it's a low clap.
It's a low clap. So if you would like to suggest your who we should do our intro clap to for next week, then send us a note.
Yet oddly, I care more about Chrono25's dark mode than the next celebrity a watch brand momentarily places a watch on in a red carpet, takes a picture, and then blasts that to the media. I somehow care.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fair. One partially, maybe hypothetically, impacts your life, and the other existed briefly at one moment that didn't impact your life.
Oh, I just watched the F1 movie yesterday.
Oh, did you? So what was your thoughts?
I was expecting way more IWC, watch shots than I saw.
What?
Did
you see the edited version?
You blind? Didn't see the Rolex edit. It's the LVMH. There'll be an LVMH group edit.
Yeah. It was funny. IWC. Rolex. IWC. Rolex. That's basically the impression. A good movie though. Yeah, it was decent entertainment.
I haven't seen it yet. I refuse to pay for marketing. I refuse to pay for someone's advert. I already pay for Apple. I'll watch it when it comes out on the streamer. Right.
It's got good sound though. Good sound in the theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way it was filmed is cool. Yeah.
The what?
The way it was filmed and recorded and presented.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's cool. Yeah.
Aye, because I've recorded with these fancy cameras that apparently we can all now buy our iPhones or something. Right, Ariel, wearing a watch for yourself versus others. My question to get us going on this is, I don't think I wear a watch for other people, but do I really?
Look, I mean, I think it's a very distinct behavior. What I've come to learn through watching people wear watches very carefully is that when you put a wristwatch on, you're fundamentally making a decision. Is this for my eyes or other people's eyes? Sometimes both, but rarely. And I discuss how it changed for me over time and how I noticed it, but it makes a huge difference in terms of what people wear and why, and in different times in people's life. Like, I've been less social. I've been doing parenting and basically like work stuff. I have less reasons to go off and maybe get attention that way. So people are always curious about why they like the watches they like and what they're drawn to. Is it okay to wear this? People are constantly asking these questions. So this is part of that larger conversation of helping to be more cognizant about what you're wearing, but also making people feel okay. Do you not care what other people think? Do you only care what people think? Well, there's a place for you in this hobby.
Is it different for the three of you? Because presumably most of the folk you hang out with know you work in the watch industry, so they will more often ask you than not, what is it you're wearing, as a conversation starter. Whereas for most folk who might be watching, listening to this show, remember you can watch this show on YouTube or reading a blog to watch. They probably very, very rarely actually get asked anything about what they're wearing. In fact, their dream is for someone to ask them about the obscure reference number, whatever brand it is that they're wearing.
I don't think anybody asked me outside of events. I hear what you're saying, but no, that's not my experience. Nobody cares about what I'm wearing.
Not even your friends that know you run one of the world's largest watch blogs care about the watch you're wearing.
Could totally care less. Not interested. They're as interested now as they were before I started this website.
I care, Ariel. I care.
Ripley cares. I went to the right source.
Well, you're usually wearing something quite interesting, and so that's when I think we're in a different. We're continuously wearing watches, not necessarily for ourselves. It might be for a review. It might be because we're going to an event, and it's not because I want to say anything about myself. It might be because there's a very weird piece in for a review, and I want to share that, seeing it with other people. In that case, I'm wearing it for others. I already wore it around. I wrote a review on it, I photographed it, whatever. But I'm wearing it for others because I want them to see it. So I think there's that. There's far seldom am I wearing a watch in, what Ariel's talking about, because I want to present myself in a certain way. But I often find myself wearing watches because wherever I'm going, someone's going to want to see that one. It's an interesting one. Or because I'm looking for another Karl F. Bucher owner, so we can...
How many percent off? Oh, 80. Wow, good job. 82.
No, I just want to know,
family and friends sale.
Like, how did you end up with this? Did you buy this? Did you see a Rolex Submariner and were like, nah, but I want to spend that much, just maybe not a Rolex?
Is there like an anonymous I paid full retail for a Karl F. Bucher club where you can go and vent and just share your experience having paid full retail for one of those?
The correct answer to that question, Ripley, is Rolex. What's that?
So how guilty do you feel, Ripley or David, ever wearing a watch just because you want to communicate something to other people rather than just because it's the watch you want to wear? I wear a Panerai, so I'm never trying to communicate anything positive to anybody, frankly.
What do you communicate to yourself? Like, you'd rather be under more water? I wish the water was coming from the ground and less the
sky. Please. I just wanted to be warm, so that's good.
I wish I was underwater.
It's Scotland. I'll soon be underwater in terms of the rain we get, but there we go. Right, so your thoughts? Come on. Confess.
I wish all my watches, cars, everything were invisible to other people, and then that way I could just enjoy and do whatever I want and not have to factor in what other people think.
How about this?
I don't do that.
Do you ever wish that what they were driving or wearing was invisible to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe
There's a long list of cars
In a
I never
world
want
where
to see
only I
ever
have a
again.
watch, no one else has anything. It's just me and my wrist.
Maybe that's it. Maybe the alternative article to this needs written about how how to ignore what other people are
Oh, that's
wearing
good.
while they're trying to kind of flash it in your
I
face.
did
That's
that.
especially
I
at
told
watch
people to
meets.
avoid
Yes,
Instagram
look.
for the first 5 years of their collecting habit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that.
That happened.
Way ahead of you.
Breaking news beats. I prefer not to be asked what I'm wearing only at watch events, friends, general public when I'm at work. Don't ask me what. Don't ask Breaking New Beats what he's wearing. He's not interested in telling you. I cannot think other than I mean, nobody even at a watch meet would ask me what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Panerai, and it's clearly obvious from about 30 meters away that's what I'm wearing.
Which
what are you
one?
wearing?
Which one is it?
Which
How about this?
Which one?
Seconds
If
at
you
9?
promise to wear non-Panerai watches, other
Mhm.
people will promise to come and ask you about it. Okay, everyone, if you see Rick and it's you'll know if it's not a Panerai. That is an obvious one from, as he said, 30
I like that
meters away
idea.
or whatever.
30
So
meters,
what is-
the depth rating of the Due, despite its
exactly.
massive
Maybe that should be the
Yeah.
new judgment.
If you're one ruined Due away from, I don't know, from Rick, and he's not wearing a Panerai, just ask him. Be like, hey Rick, I noticed you're wearing not wearing a Panerai. What is it? You'll make his day, and his wrist will see something else.
Exactly. I wonder if that should be a rating you give to watches as to how far away you can identify what they are from across the room. So a Panerai obviously has one of the greatest ratings. You can identify it from 100 meters away. Whereas what's the least 100% identifiable watch as to what it is, at least within the brand line. Okay, so we say Panerai. Whereas a Submariner, until you're a few feet away, it could be just about anything.
I'm seeing a whole show where we try this. We actually go to some event like Watches of Wonder.
Am I close or am I really far away?
No, and we actually sit there. We know that something is a distance away. And we're like, Ripley, can you tell what someone's wearing over there? And then that's when we'll know when the true icons are. Because that test that you're mentioning, as much of a joke as it is, a lot of watch brand managers use that as a standard. They're like, you could tell what the royal oak is. Could you tell what your thing is? And that's like actually a big deal to them. They measure iconicity, if you will, as a measure of can you identify something from, like, I think for them it's always across the restaurant. That's why I was here. Across the restaurant, can you see? That's, I don't know what that is. Maybe not 30 meters.
30 meters.
It's not a stadium, it's a restaurant. It's a French measurement of distance.
It would have to be at Watches and Wonders, because if we just did it in a public place, we'll be looking vintage Calatrava from 100 meters away, and then as we get closer, we're going to be disappointed because it'll be a Daniel Wellington. I think Watches and Wonders is a safe place to do it, because it might be like offshore. No, it's a Hublot, but it'll still be something cool and interesting.
We won't be guilty of conspiracy to steal watches. I see.
I mean, I think we've all done this. You'll be seeing someone, they might have an interesting strap on, and you're looking at the, so what kind of watch is attached to it? And they might be in line at the clerk, and then they're paying, and their wrist flips over, and you see it's just something so unremarkable, like not like Timex cool, but like Daniel Wellington, and you're like, never
I just
mind.
see a whole scenario where Ripley's chasing after people asking to see their strap on.
Yeah,
it was unfortunate.
Ari was on fire today. Yeah, on fire today. Right. Okay.
I'm just waiting to watch
that from the other side of the restaurant.
You have a colorful strap on, sir. What's attached to it?
I just want to see your strap on.
No.
Okay,
we'll definitely get invited back to Watches and Wonders.
No.
This is
We're really riding the line here.
Rails.
So who's going to win? We're sitting at Watches and Wonders.
Win the audience, obviously.
I wonder, you know how you get the meme where the guy is sitting on like a table in a park and he's like, "Convince me." Can't remember what the meme is.
Yeah.
You know the one. I wonder if we should take along, and you see some of these YouTubers that maybe it's not a thing in the States, but in the UK, there's a guy that goes around and he tests takeaway food, and he brings his own table and he sits it on the street outside, orders a takeaway, and then reviews it in the street at a wee table with all his cameras. I think we should take a table along to Watches and Wonders Okay, sit it at somewhere quiet, so beside the Bomb and Mercy stall probably, and then invite people a bit like Squid Game to start off like 50 meters away from us with the wrists in the air, and then the one who can get the closest without us being able to identify their watch is the winner. They just like, we turn our backs and then we spin round and they've all moved a meter closer.
Does
And
this
when they're
mean
out,
I
they're
get to
out.
finally buy that laser telemeter I've been wanting?
You just wanted a rangefinder. Is that what you mean?
Yes, very
Yes.
much. No,
I've-
no reason to use it.
I think
but
we
this
should
is
bring a
finally.
give you a
table
reason.
because there's never enough tables at the restaurants at Watches and Wonders. So we should definitely bring our own table. But I don't think they would appreciate that many people lined up in a Squid Games manner with and Ariel having a laser telemeter pulled out in terms of egress. It's quite busy.
Where did Squid Games come into this?
Well, because they have that game where they
red light,
all
green
have.
light.
Yeah, I've only seen one episode, and then I was like, "This is weird."
Oh god.
So yeah, red light, green light. So we should come up with our own version of that.
We're
It
just
turns
finding a
out-
much more obnoxious way of observing the crowd at the show. That's all. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, that's true. It turns out there's quite a few folk in the chat of a Blog to Watch Weekly Live that I think they need some counselling. I think there's a whole load of watch geeks out there that just nobody's asking them what they're wearing. Be
Laser
a friend.
rangefinders for everyone.
Be a friend today, and if you happen to have stumbled across this on YouTube, ask a watch geek.
Ask a friend.
Ask a friend. Ask a watch geek what they're wearing. There should be a hashtag for that. I'm not sure what it should be. Ask a watch geek. Ask
a watch friend.
geek.
Well,
Ask
if
a
it's
watch
not
friend.
something of massive value and it's something actually interesting on an enthusiast level, and you're more than likely going to have an interesting conversation with that person about watches than if it's just some Rolex of any Rolex. Could be a cool vintage Rolex, but the number of times I've thought someone was into watches and it's like a really righteous looking vintage Pepsi, and it's like, oh, what, my Rolex? Oh no, this was my dad's. And it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Sorry to bother you. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
Can I share something controversial? I really don't like
You don't like
talking
watches?
about watches in my free time. I genuinely don't. If somebody asks me what it is, I try and just get out of it. It's not one of my passions, actually, to talk with people foreign to me about watches.
It turns out David doesn't like what he's doing. All of this under
I like
duress.
watches.
Ariel, have you got
Just not in my
photos
free
or something?
What?
You got photos of David. You're forcing him to do this career of talking about watches when he really
Far
doesn't
from
want
it,
to.
but in my free time, when
Yeah.
I go out or go out to an event with
Okay, I
other
think-
people, like, oh, David,
No,
I heard you are into
feel what
watches. I'm
David's
like,
saying.
yes.
It's not that David doesn't want to talk about watches. He doesn't want to have dumb conversations about watches.
Yes.
Hashtag
And if I were
free
a
David.
dentist, I wouldn't want to talk about teeth. If I go out to an event, I just don't get it why people get this idea that, oh, you must love talking about exclusively this. Jeez.
Yeah, and nobody asks us
sometimes what
interesting questions ever. They're like,
Okay,
what's the best
no.
brand? What's the watch to buy to make money? I don't know. If I knew, why would I tell you?
Right, David,
It's the
David,
best brand.
we've taken a seat, so come on, unload on us. Tell us.
That's the most
us.
typical question.
What
What's the
else should
best
people
brand?
never
So
mention to
true.
David at a party? Okay, come on.
That's right.
Yes.
Top
Make a
5
list.
things to annoy David for
Top-
explosive
Oh,
results.
In exclusive news, Ariel has just invented his own top 5, so we've got to explore this because
Oh wow, I
clearly
did.
we're opening up some real deep stuff here. David doesn't like watches. Ariel's into lists after all. Ripley, anything you want to confess? It's not a real wall. It's made of polystyrene behind you. What's going on?
Keep it
up is
rolling.
down, left is right, cats and dogs, etc. So, David, what would you like
Yeah.
to talk about today?
What would I want to talk about? I'm
Yeah,
here to
so-
talk watches. That's all good. I'm here to talk about 8 hertz frequency. That's what I want to talk
Tell us
about.
it. Well,
David,
okay,
how
then.
good
Which
does
is
that
so many
sound?
hertz.
How many times have you held it up to your ear since taking delivery of it?
A good
Let's
number
see
of
it.
times.
Tell
Yeah,
us what it
and
is then.
It's the Chopard Cadence Alpine Eagle 41 SL something, and it was launched just this
One
year. But
orange
Chopard had,
hand.
yes, Chopard had it for a number of. Chopard has been producing the 8 hertz watch for more or less over a decade, since 2012. So they've had this movement for quite
We
some
know
time.
it works now. That's the point.
Yeah, which is
cool watch.
yeah. it's a pretty cool looking watch. But the fact is, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the second send is just basically
It's
sweeping.
the only thing we can see.
Let me I'll
That's all
fool.
That's true. That's all you need. And it made me think about high frequency because it's one of those few complications that have not yet become available at a cheap price. You can buy a tourbillon for like $300 or $400. You can buy, you know, a split second chronograph for like $3 grand, $3.5 grand. So it was interesting to look into what complications are available at a relatively affordable price. You can buy ceramic cased watches, ceramic bezel inserts, whatever, for a couple $100, but you cannot buy high frequency at all from anyone for less than, I don't know, then, you know, whatever this costs, basically.
Do you know that a simple quartz watch operates at about 32,000 hertz?
Yes, but it
It's
works with the battery,
cheap,
so I'm not interested.
Very cheap. So
David,
much hertz.
And a spring
I'm
drive
aware
is
that-
completely
Oh,
smooth.
yeah.
If you like the velvety motion of the 8 hertz there, imagine the smooth, gentle, silent sweep of a spring drive.
I've
With the
had a spring drive.
accuracy
It's
of
the best thing
quartz.
in all of human history, but this is a close second because you can really hear it. It's really something special. This high frequency stuff.
I mean,
very,
it's
very
kind
cool.
of I love pretending like alternate history where the mechanical watch are like, what if quartz is never invented? Then this would be state of the art still. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of how you have to go through
Yeah.
this. It's a weird
yeah.
like you have to throw that logic aside when you're a watch lover, when like you know in the back of your mind like quartz outperforms it. You're just like, let's just pretend it's not there.
Mhm.
And then it works.
Which
and
we
8 hertz
do.
sounds amazing.
But we do constantly. Whenever we talk about a perpetual or a chronograph that's accurate to a tenth of a second, we are
know.
constantly saying that you're acting as though
And
quartz was
quartz
not
watches would love to have a cool like little graphical logo like the cadence on the front or that little
around. Mhm.
up and down thing. I mean, come on. I don't
But
know
they
what that
don't.
is.
They are
but
called the
that's-
Oceanus.
They sure are.
Yeah, okay, I can see this.
The irony is that the one you're looking at, Rick, this is on with a titanium case and titanium bracelet. It's less
was gonna
expensive than this one on a freaking rubber strap with just a ceramized titanium case. I'm not sure how math works over at Chopard.
I'm not sure how math works.
Why
Yeah,
is this
Chopard.
considerably more expensive than whatever you're
Than
looking
that? Yes, I'm showing the original. I think this is the original, isn't it?
No, it's also new. It's or maybe this is from a couple of years ago. I
This
don't
is
know.
from a
But
couple
it's
of years
still-
ago. This is from
Okay.
2023, I think.
But
when
you can
it was
still
first
buy
launched.
it. You can still buy
it's
it.
a great watch. I have actually considered this over the Panerai.
It is pretty awesome. It is really awesome.
It is.
But I
And-
fear that from 30
Yeah.
years away, folk would not be able to identify that this was a Chopard.
Oh, everyone
They
could
know
tell
it's
a
not a
Royal, don't worry.
Panerai. They'd be, I'm not sure what that is. It's definitely not a Panerai.
Is that a new blow with those screws?
It turns out that we have actually created a safe space, breaking new beats in the chat. We do ask each other on here what everybody's wearing. So if you want to safely ask someone what watch they're wearing with no fear that they're going to go, I don't know, it belonged to my father, then this is the place to come. This is your safe space.
Join
I'd love
us.
to watch weekly live on YouTube. Just come here and ask those questions. I have also asked several people. I think that's right. I've asked more people what they're wearing in the hope that there's a good story than have ever asked me what I'm wearing away from watch meets. And there's never been a good story.
Here's how you do that, Rick. You don't ask what they are wearing. You ask them why.
Why?
Why
Yeah.
are you wearing that? That's a different
Why are you
thing.
wearing that?
Because
That's even worse. It's
and
got
Be
cause I need
careful
to
of
tell
your
the time.
tone. It can kind of sound accusatory if you're not careful.
Yes,
So,
Why
That's the
are
point.
you
Why are you wearing
that?
why are you wearing that? You know, just
I've only been punished for bringing up people's watches in public.
Punished?
Never
How?
got
Really?
well, like them thinking like being very defensive,
Weirdo.
acting weird. Like, is he trying to steal something from me, or is he hitting on me, or just anything? But oh wow, he noticed my
Wow.
watch. Anything other than it was any other. I was just like, why would someone talk about my old ass watch? Like, how creepy is that? Like, I basically got that response multiple times.
The only time I've ever got what would be considered even a vaguely good story is asking a guy in a ski lift queue who was wearing a Rolex James Cameron deep sea type thing, which clearly had the pip missing. It had clearly been in some sort of incident about his watch. It turned out he was actually North Sea oil diver and had lost it diving. That was the only interesting story. I think he was as surprised as I was that anyone had actually asked about his watch. I think it probably made his holiday. But that's the only time I've ever asked anybody randomly away from a watch meetup what they're wearing and got anything like a reasonable reply other than, oh, it's just a watch. I got it from No Story here. It's the one I saw in the shop. Anyway, grand. Right, so the Chopard, you're doing a hands-on review of that. When can we expect that to see the light of day, David?
Yeah, it's on a couple thousand more words before I elaborate all my thoughts on high frequency, because it's so freaking cool if you think about it. It's Chopard makes a couple 10,000 movements every year, and they make maybe 500 of these every year. This is a limited edition of 250, so that means that these are handled completely differently. Probably there are just a few people in every manufacturer that ever does properly high frequency stuff who can actually regulate these things, assemble them, make sure that they are, it's a special thing even within a manufacturer, right? So, and they don't really say this because then that would imply that all the other stuff is not quite so special, but it's true. This is like the ultra rare, super high, actual high-end stuff. You can put all the tourbillons into something, and that's sort of similar, but you're not paying tourbillon money here, and yet you get a very special thing. I'm smitten by it.
Yeah, it is uber cool. How much is that one? You're saying it's more expensive than the...
Probably 20 something.
Okay, cool.
It's
right.
Expensive.
We don't see these very often because obviously it takes a long time to get there. But this is a long-term watch review. Tudor Black Bay 41mm master chronometer. Ariel, you've had this watch a while. Is that how this works?
Yeah, I just wanted to wear it for a long time to see sort of how it fit into my life. It's very similar to the experience I have with the Submariner, and what I mean by that is some days it's like the perfect watch, and other days like it's not bad. I'm just totally bored with it. I'm just like, oh, that old style thing. In that sense, it's a good long-term watch to have. Like, I don't think anyone should buy this for a few months and be like, get rid of it. Like, it's sort of like always going to be a good item to wear. Very accurate, good performance. I'd say that Tudor really excels at being a great tool watch. I think the price of a lot of these watches, especially as others have gone up, remains really great. I love the master chronometer statement. I mean, we talked about how it's kind of an FU to Omega, and it totally is. And like the kind of inter-industry competition Easter egg that you see on the watch like that, I just think is so great. So I do think that the Black Bay is thick. It's interesting because a lot of people like the Black Bay 54, which is a smaller diameter one, but also because it's much thinner. And so I think that's like really one of the big differences between the Rolex watches and the Tudors is not all Tudors, but a lot of them are just comparatively a lot thicker. And I think that the luxury watch industry likes to place a premium on thin. There's some real reasons for it. Maybe some of them are artificial. But I think that's really the only ding. Yes, this one has the aluminum bezel. It's kind of a nice red color here, burgundy red. I didn't have any issues with it. I like ceramic, but there's definitely a slightly different, personality to it. This is just a great kind of, I almost see it as like a fancy Seiko. Like it's not the most exciting watch in the world, but it kind of fits in everywhere. Everyone's like, cool watch. No one like it's very difficult to criticize. No one claims it does everything perfectly, but it's just such a good, sensible choice. So I think as a long-term wearing prospect, it's great. Tudor definitely makes it difficult to choose with a bracelet because they have this sort of Jubilee style one and a 3-link, but it's great that they have the micro adjust in there. So still under $5,000 on a bracelet with, a really great Meta certified movement. I think this is a great timepiece here, but again, this is for tool watch lovers. It's not necessarily for the call it the fashionista crew.
David, if you were to do a long-term review of a watch right now, which would be in this category of sensible, safe, that you could put up with long term.
16 hertz. Yeah.
16 hertz Chopard. What else is in this category?
What's the budget? Like $4,000, $5,000?
Yeah, $5,000 best. I don't want. I'm afraid to do the best watch under $5,000, but let's do that. Best watch under $5,000.
No. Just a review. Well, to review, I would go for that Oceanus and see if I could crack that glass bezel anytime soon, because I would genuinely want to wear that for an extensive period of time and see if it's actually fragile or something like that. I'm kind of hard on my watches in the sense that like I beat them around, they are all scratched up and all the rest of it. So, if it could take that sort of beating, then I would be like, oh, that's great. So yeah, I would try and see, how far we could push that. Yeah, that's the one I would go for. $3,500.
We should all wear an Oceanus for a year. Different one, different bezel, but we should all wear one. And that would be a
let's do that.
Review.
If they want to send us them, I'm in. We
know they have them in stock.
Yeah,
boy, do they!
We love them. We want everyone to share our passion for the Oceanus.
I'd be torn in two polar opposite directions. I've never owned a spring drive for an extended period of time, and I'd be interested that, so many of Grand Seiko's spring drive watches there's so few bad things you could say about them, but like Ariel mentioned about the Blackberry, they're not necessarily super exciting. Yeah, the dial might be nice, and you can choose kind of one with some pizzazz, but the novelty might wear off. But I'd be interested to see how well I'd sit with one of those, a fairly versatile dial version, and just not a crazy model or anything, and just sort of see how that was. And then the other one would be a simple Panerai, like a simple time only Panerai.
If I can, through the magic of the internet, I can just pass it from the side of the screen.
Now only $20,000.
Doesn't work.
Well, like I'm not sure what the least expensive Luminor currently is, but that one
it's about 5,000 or 6,000.
Yeah, so more expensive, but still within the same family. I've always thought it'd be an interesting watch to wear for just a while and commit to it and just be Panerai guy. See how long it would take before I slayed the animal kingdom in search of strap materials.
Materials. It leads me to an interesting category of the watch that's on the list, but just never quite gets the top. Because I think that's how I feel about Grand Seiko. It's always on the list. It's always, I would get a Grand Seiko, but there's always just something.
I thought that was Zenith.
Maybe it is Zenith. Yes, Zenith. What's your watch brand or watch that's just never quite makes it to the top of the list, but it's always there?
I think it is Zenith. I mean, the number of times I've very strongly considered buying an El Primero, but haven't done so. Same goes for Panerai, but like the Panerai is something where I feel like that's going to happen. I honestly don't know.
Bell and Ross. I want to say, in keeping with the Oceanus jokes, that it's the ultimate number 2 watch we're talking about. But yeah, so what is the ultimate number 2 watch? Bell and Ross.
They're pretty, they're well made, they're extremely affordable compared to other things right now, and still no one's talking about it. We're going to try to change that, but we're
going to change that. But we're only going to do it when Bell and Ross pays to do it. Is that not how it works?
I mean, look, you want an amazing used watch for like $2,000 or $3,000? You have like 20 years of Bell and Ross.
The GMT watches, the Bell and Ross Square GMT watches are amongst the most comfortable watches to wear, and they're just always fun. And genuinely, someone will ask you, "What is that you're wearing?" They might not like it, but they will ask you about it.
I don't want any more. I don't want one anymore.
David doesn't want a Bell and Ross.
That would attract this sort of question, like, I never knew watches came in squares. Yeah, let's begin a conversation. Square watch is great.
David, what's your ultimate number 2?
That's a really good question. Probably my white G-Shock GWX 5600 something for a whole $99. It's perfect. It's great. Solar multiband. Looks cool with basically anything and everything. Takes a beating. Good watch.
Good stuff. Welcome to the show, Philippe, a long-time listener, first-time chatter. Thanks for tuning in. You can tune in to aBlogtoWatch Weekly live at around about 7:30 on 7:30 UK time on a Tuesday morning if you want to join in with the show. Any further thoughts on this long time? Do you have to send it back now? Like, you've had it since it was launched. This watch was launched like 3 years ago, was it not? How old's this watch?
Which one?
No, this is an updated version because
This is the updated version. Ari was
yeah.
on mute, so
No, I'll be sending it back. It's it's a watch that I could again easily live with for a long time and always pick up. But I don't know that I'm gonna wake up at night and be like, Black Bay, where are you, Black Bay? It's just it's like the Submariner. You know, it's always gonna be there. There's so many of these that I feel like if I needed it, I could go pick this thing up. That's so sort of comfortable about it. But I think for a lot of people just getting into watches, Tudor, again, similar to Seiko in a funny way, it's like a safe thing. Like you don't have to worry about getting it because even if you get bored of it, like 5 years from now, you'll rediscover it, be like, oh, you're relevant all over again.
Yeah.
Well, if you like to suggest in the chat your ultimate number 2, then go ahead and we'll give it a mention.
That could mean so many things, Rick.
Exactly. Right. Let's play the as yet unsponsored hit miss maybe. You're welcome to sponsor us, but just remember our opinions are not actually for sale, so your sponsorship may be completely worthless. But you're welcome to give it a go. Let's see. First up,
they can sponsor our signs. I've never printed out new ones, and these are getting so beat.
Yeah, let's get sponsorships for our sign. Maybe we should. Maybe there needs maybe
the Taco Bell maybe.
Yeah,
let's hit this maybes on the giant Hublot H's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Hublot things from the World Cup where the referees were holding those things up? That's what we need.
Okay, so you've got to use your imagination.
They only need them once every 4 years. Send it to us.
Yeah, send it to us, and then in between time, come on, you must know somebody. David, you're quite close to Hublot, allegedly, so they say.
Geographically,
you must know. You must be able to. We must be able to get. I mean, the football season's not happening at the moment. There must be some local football clubs with those signs that we can borrow.
I'm sure they have spares.
See if you can tap up somebody at Hublot and see if they can send us
that would be hilarious.
4 refereeing signs. I think, somebody send that email. That's it. So for next week, in light of not getting the Hublot signs, you've got to put on your hit miss maybe signs a sponsorship from somebody, anybody you like, worldwide.
Those like auction paddles, you know.
Yeah, so Sotheby's, next week's Hit Miss Maybe will be brought to you by an auction house. So put on your Hit Miss Maybe sign for next week, your favourite auction house. Nothing controversial there. No sponsorship implied. It's just an image we got off the internet and decided to put on our signs. So next week, auction houses. There you go. So you can get into the most trouble. Right, first watch up this week, something Ripley you have looked at. Nice and simple. IWC Portugueser Tourbillon retrograde chronograph with a watch with an obsidian colored dial. Does that mean
not
it's
obsidian?
Not I was going to say, does that mean it's not obsidian?
Could they just said black? I mean,
you're asking a lot of them right now. So this isn't necessarily a new watch. They've done other iterations of this. This is
what is new here?
It's armor gold with a obsidian colored dial.
Does that mean it withstands bullets? What does that mean?
Yes. So I mean, everyone's got their own proprietary golds. It seems armor gold's IWC's version, and 18K red gold, which is supposed to have a superior structure that makes it harder and more scratch wear resistant.
Is that like Gold Tech, Panerai?
No, I think Gold Tech is just a sexy name for.
It's 1% different to that.
Yeah. Do you think within
possibly less than one
Richemont group it is actually all the same gold?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You think it's all the same?
It's probably tiny little bit different. Maybe they add some seasoning or something like that. But that's
a little bit of some salt and pepper.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to figure they only have 25% total to play with because it's all 18 karat. So within that 25%, there's certain things that need to be added to make it simply red and rosy versus a lighter, paler shade. So that truncates it further to a lot of copper. And then you're really left with just a very, very small amount that you can mix into the metal that can augment its physical properties thereafter. So maybe it's a little different, but we're talking about the very, very small portion. But it's armor gold with an obsidian colored dial. So the dial itself is just lots of black lacquer and sunburst.
It's just been asked in the chat whether police auctions count for our signs next week. I think that's exactly where we should go. each presumably, I mean, in the UK, there's a police auction that auctions off all these dodgy Rolexes. There must be the equivalent in the States and in Hungary. So whatever your
Why don't we
local
go to
police
those? I
auction.
really want to go to some of those.
I'll go to one
Almost
of
as
those
much
with
as
you,
the Invicta
Ariel. Like
cruise.
LAPD's like seized property auction. Let's go see what wild stuff can possibly pop
You know,
up
they
there.
make it so it's like kind of hard to go to. Like it'll be like some random morning in the middle of the week, and you have to like pay in cash. They don't make it easy.
I think that would be a great article for the website. I think
Ripley,
that would
you find the time of this place. We'll take
I think
someone
that would
else's money. Rick,
break
send us
the watch internet.
send us all
I'll
your
send you
barrels of
money.
cash.
No,
I'll
I'm
send
gonna
you all the
bring
money.
like a very inconvenient denomination, maybe a bunch of coins or something. I mean, you said
Probably
cash; it's government
rubles is
tender.
the most appropriate.
Here's
Rubles
8 oil
or
barrels full of pennies, and give me my watches now.
here's some sanctioned oil.
Yeah,
right.
That
Sorry.
would be interesting though. Who can
got
find the
distracted there.
better? What about a fixed budget? Who can get the best watch at the?
Okay, right. So for your hit miss maybe signs next week, I want the auction site and the best bang for buck as the opening salvo for hit miss maybe. We might just do hit miss maybe on your police watch auction finds or those watch auction sites that look as slightly suspect, like Christie's or Sotheby's. Yeah, the Sharp Practice websites, but yes, find your website here. So that's your job for next week, is to find the best bang for buck on a police auction website. And anyone in the chat that wants to suggest anything, email aBlogtoWatch. Email podcast at aBlogtoWatch.com. That would work. Cool. Right, back to this. IWC, anything more to say about it, Ripley, before we give a vote?
No,
Price,
I mean
price.
I mean, it's very expensive. So there is a retrograde date. There is a flying tourbillon. There is a flyback chronograph. I believe regular chronograph with the hour and minute hand stuck up there. But it is very, very expensive. When you look at other models that IWC has done recently in this armor gold and obsidian colored colorway, this is more expensive than the spherical moon phase tourbillon and like the regular perpetual calendar one combined. This is a 6-figure watch. I think it's a 10-piece limited edition as well, but scroll down. This is shockingly expensive. But it is, I mean, it's going to be very, very nice, but it is extremely expensive when you compare it to other things that could very well be mistaken for it when viewed from across the room.
$145,000. Jeez.
All they're trying to do is pay off what they put into F1. I mean, it's very clear.
In one go.
Yeah, in one go, 100p. I mean, all right, let's do it, guys. You know.
So hold on a second. What in this is $145,000? This is just a retrograde.
It's the tourbillon.
It's tourbillon.
No, but
all
that
armor
are less expensive from probably the armor.
Well, they've got
also,
other ones.
Think about all the
Tourbillons
money
are
they save
not
not using actual obsidian.
It's tourbillon colored.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Tourbillon tech.
Well, fun thing about the tourbillon and the color of the tourbillon on this one versus the original armor gold model from when this concept debuted is that the tourbillon carriage is now gold colored as well, rather than being rhodium plated on the original. So it's very, very cohesive.
Well, I just get me. I'll have all 100. Right. Hit, miss, or maybe. 1, 2, 3, go. Miss, maybe. Ariel, why is it make a maybe?
I mean, miss is pretty strong. Any one of us would wear this if it was handed to us. They're like giant gold watch with a bunch of complications that don't make sense. Really?
I
wouldn't wear this around for a little bit.
No,
you can wear it nice snug on the strap. I mean, look, it's not bad. It's got a classic look to it. It hits. It works really well on paper. Like, oh, it's got that function and that one and that thing. Like, that's great. You're right. It's not the prettiest one, right? It's like the supercar that like failed in the looks department. It has all the specs, just not as elegant as the other ones, right? But it still makes a bold statement in the room.
Okay, David.
Also, not $500,000.
Yeah, wow. Well, isn't it a bargain all of a sudden?
It sure is.
140. What is it? $145,000. You could
That's
actually
insane.
buy the supercar instead. Even if the supercar
Which
was
one?
ugly, it would then be a supercar. It'd just be an ugly one. This is
You
just
get
a
a
What
used
could you
Ferrari for
even
that
get?
much.
You could get like the most expensive. I don't know, Maserati they have on
Well,
the
at the
lot. Like, what
police
do you
auction,
get?
apparently there's deals to be had. You might walk
Ooh.
away with
Oh,
something
there we
quite.
go. Right. I think we're just gonna have a next week's
That's
just
the
gonna be all
watch to
about
wear to the police
auctions.
auction, okay? It says I
Yeah,
have
that's
money, but
true.
doesn't the police aren't like, are you a criminal? We're not sure. You're so tasteful, sir.
Yes, you're reading
That's a
IWC.
really
You
good
clearly
point.
didn't steal it.
It is a classy watch. You're not immediately a convict if you wear it, which is good. But
Unless you
at the same-
actually stole it from the boutique in an armed robbery, you didn't actually
Yeah,
steal it
well.
from any other human being in
It's
their
like
house.
the
'Cause
watch the
nobody
guy in the
else has
Guy Ritchie
spent
movie would wear, right?
$145,000 on it. Yeah. Okay.
It's just the
Hey-ho.
dial layout with this illegible retrograde date that nobody asks for. You have no idea what date it is unless it's if the 4th or the 7th or something like that. It's impossible to read, and it's also typical. It's like, if for 150 grand, it should be like a bespoke thing. To me, it looks like a regular movement with the tourbillon engineered into it, which is great.
Mm.
It's just somehow the price and the dial layout. There's so much nicer IWC watches out there. I hope they sell all of these and sponsor more F1 movies or do whatever with the funds. But it's just never. It's basically the last IWC I would have today.
So when I
It
see
is-
a chronograph tourbillon, I always think about Jean-Claude Biver, because for years and years he would wear the same watch when he was at Hublot. It was a very particular version just made for him, all black, of their chronograph tourbillon. And the chronograph was always running, always running. He's like, I always have the chronograph running. No, I'm not timing anything. You just like seeing the moving hands. And
That's
and
cool.
for me, that's all I think about is people that buy this, they're not using any of it. They're just like, ooh, lots of movement. Wow, that's a lot of hands in one watch. I enjoy seeing them all move at the same time. Like, it's just a toy, but I've never
Perfect.
met anyone in a practical scenario who ever had an intellectually astute reason for wanting a tourbillon and a chronograph in the same watch. I can't understand it. It's just about swirly, moving, fun things. That's really
Well, has
what it's about.
anyone
Yeah.
ever had just let's dial that back from chronograph. Let's just keep that to the tourbillon. Has anyone ever come with a logical explanation for why they need a tourbillon in a wristwatch?
It looks pretty.
You're
But
about to
if-
break
if-
the entire industry, Ripley. Don't ask these questions.
Yeah. That's half the internet already. People talking about date windows and tourbillons, but it's cool looking. But for a third of the price, you can get the daddy of watches, which is the Portuguese Perpetual 44, which they just updated a year ago or something like that, and that is a gorgeous looking, fantastic watch with the obsidian black dial in armor gold. That actually is one of my favorite watches. So that's a third of the price. Looks more complicated. Actually, looks more expensive. I actually reviewed that particular version with a black dial and in this red gold version, and that
But it's
is
harder to pay for the F1 sponsorship with those watches.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a shame.
Breaking New Beats asks, who gets the better discount, this IWC in 2 years when it's still in the display case, or a new Karlev Bucherer?
Dead brands are always cheaper. We know that.
Yeah.
And which
Easy
one are we saying is
answer.
a dead brand? CFP or IWC?
Well, the one officially not in business right now. That would be the
Okay,
dead one.
that's
The
fine.
ones where
Or
they
hybrid
already
zombie
liquidated.
mode. I don't know.
Yeah, the ones that
IWC
were
is
already
alive and well.
liquidated. Yeah,
Service center only mode.
Hey, Ripley, how'd you vote?
I said it's a maybe. Like Ariel said, miss is strong. I would happily own this watch and feel, let the chronograph run and watch all the things move. But also, it's a maybe because unless you're just playing with absurd amounts of money and you just really love a tourbillon, this is really, really expensive. If you like the black and armor gold thing, go get the perpetual calendar, like David mentioned. It's a third of the price. And then if you really just still want to spend the same amount of money, you can go and get the lovely day and night one with the spherical moons phase and still come in below budget for this one. So it's shockingly expensive for what it is. You're really paying a premium for this combination of complications plus the tourbillon, but it is objectively a good looking watch. I kind of like the updates they've done to keep it a very kind of black and rose gold sort of look. Looks quite nice, so it's a maybe.
Okay. Right. Before we move on, we missed our round robin as to where everybody is and what they're wearing. Ariel, I think we can guess where you are, but what you're wearing on the wrist?
Edox Hydro Sub, yet another vintage style dive watch. I quite like this one. It's got its own little flavor on there, not particularly expensive. Only weird dial colors. That's what I like. No, none of the standard dial colors you think. This is kind of like a gray and orange. It's nice, but again, slightly non-standard stuff. And that review will hit the website after a long-term review. I don't know, at some point.
Cool. David, show us again what you're wearing.
Don't ask him that.
Desk.
Or on the desk.
8
so
hertz.
many hertz.
It's all you need. Yes.
All the hertz. It hurts the hertz. Good stuff. Ripley.
Well, Noricane is on my head. I'm wearing the split color GMT bezel shirt from aBlogtoWatch. And then on my wrist is quite possibly the cheapest luxury watch you'll be able to find these days, a Karloff Bucherer. I still have not found another person wearing one, encountered them in the wild, so we will continue to wait. And while I may have 4 less hertz than David, I probably have an extra 55 millimeters. Actually, I think this is 44, but it is incredibly
In
large.
thickness.
Oh, yeah. Proper cheeseburger sandwich type of piece.
This is less than 10. That's so cool.
I bet my watch weighs like 10 times as much as David's.
That's probably
Come
true.
on. There's only one champ here, to be honest, in the kind of thickness and weight department, and we all
The
know.
burger. The burger.
Burger.
That
watch.
Bucherer has a run for your money for you. Trust me.
You think? Does it?
Oh yeah.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
The,
Well,
the
Yeah.
bracelet, look at how large the clasp is. It's the entirety of the underside of my wrist. It's enormous.
Oh my god.
And it's
Karloff
just as
burger.
thick.
the Cardiff burger. Good
It
stuff.
doesn't have a micro adjust. It has a macro adjust.
Excellent. Right. Well, see.
It does
Why
have a
would you
macro.
need
No,
a
it
class
does.
that
It does.
long?
It does have a micro and macro. So
I know. I'm not making that up.
no, yeah, Ariel's not making this up. On one side of this butterfly style clasp, there is a standard, incremental micro adjust, proper micro. And then on the other side, what you get is a macro adjust, full on wetsuit extension. So you can go ahead and like put this over your ankle monitor or whatever. It really expands out. You get a micro and a macro.
You had to remove all the links. It's just basically a watch head and the clasp.
I did remove all the links.
Oh, they're still being sold. That's good. I love how it doesn't hurt them to stop selling it. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder
but-
I wonder if I emailed Karloff Bucherer today and told them I want to buy one of your watches, would they have the bare cheek to sell it to me at full retail, or would somebody reply, hey, here's what's going on. We can give you a hefty discount. You don't have to pay full
I
retail.
don't know.
or
What does
would
the
they
Rolex
accept?
way say?
Oh, wait.
let's-
Just wait.
Bucherer. Is there still a website?
Oh, yeah.
Official
I stumbled
website of
upon it
Carl F.
the other
Bucherer.
day.
It's still no. That's
We
Carl
are currently in
Booker,
legacy
not Carl
mode.
F. Bucherer.
So I guess
Yeah, that's
some more-
somebody entirely
Everything
different.
is a tribute now. That's sad.
I think one of the biggest problems with Carl Booker is I can't spell Carl F. Bucherer. Carl F. Bucherer, right?
Do you have a
Here's
problem with the Carl
website.
part or the F?
Yeah, the F is the most
Tough F.
difficult. Right, okay. So like you go onto the website, all looks like it still exists. I'm
Yep.
not seeing any. There's no sign that says, actually, you know what? We don't make these anymore. Still
Where are
got
the
a
mantas?
collection.
I want to see the mantas. Let's see if they still speak
The
about
mantas.
the
Is
manta
that
trust.
is that
The
these?
dinero.
Oh no, nothing's clicking. Discover more. Let's see. Exploring time. Monero.
Okay.
What are you looking for, Ripley?
I feel
The
bad for
manta
this
rays.
brand.
I want to see if they still talk
Eh,
about the manta rays on this side.
Where would I find them?
Oh God, I don't know.
Who will look
something
after the
about
manta
Eh,
now?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Manta,
Oceanus,
manta.
actually. Those were manta.
No, another
editions from
brand
the
took up
Oceanus.
the Manta Trust thing.
I
Wait,
mean,
do you
Carl
recall
F.
which brand
Bucherer,
it was? Like, we
Monero
did
Flyback,
talk about this, but
find
Yeah.
a store.
so is that the watch from Atomic Blonde?
That
This
one?
is a great,
Yeah.
great watch.
I think
That's
it's like a
fantastic
Monero
watch.
chronograph or something like that. The watch that's in Atomic Blonde.
There was a
that's
few, weren't there? A few in that
The
movie?
one that's like has the
Many.
codes in it or whatever.
Was there
Well,
one that's
there-
used to like smash someone's face?
I need to watch this the next time I'm on a
That
flight.
sounds very Atomic Blondie.
There is certainly no sign that Karlev Bucherer is no longer selling watches.
Is there any
yeah.
signs of where they're actually sold?
Let's see. Watches.
I mean, this looks so generic. It looks
Chrono
like one of those
24
like
dark mode probably has them.
dark mode. The whole organization has gone
click
into
on any
dark
of the
mode.
watches and see if there's
I'm
like
just
a
trying to
store
find-
finder.
Right.
Just
Okay.
click on one
Store
of the models.
finder. Karlev Bucherer.
Can you buy
the
them from the
Monero-
site?
No, there is a find a store. Country. Where should we go? Switzerland. Well, Oh, interestingly, it only lists. Is that the only places that had Karlev Bucherer stores? Like 7
No.
countries.
No, they were big in
right.
Asia.
United
There are other
Kingdom,
countries in the world.
London. Let's see if it tells you anywhere.
Ooh, you can still
There's
get them
apparently
in Covent Garden.
Yeah, at Bucherer stores.
at Bucherer's own at the
Doesn't cost
Rolex
them anything. All they have to do
owned-
is nothing.
yeah,
Leave the watches where they are.
So is that literally where the only stores that are now listed?
Where they are.
I wonder, is it possible that these are the only countries that have Bucherer stores in them? Yeah, that's Bucherer. So clearly, this is not a list. This is
Where
a list
else
of
do you think
Bucherer
you're going to
stores.
find Bucherer? The brand that was designed to be sold at Bucherer stores.
Yeah. Do they never sell them anywhere else? No.
Not
Anyway, right.
successfully.
Well, yeah, I didn't sell them successfully in their own stores either. Right, Borisic is making the very valid, probably the most valid point of this show that even I forgot to ask what everyone was wearing on this week's show, which just shows how unlikely it is that you, watch wearer, are ever going to get asked. But it's actually a segment of the show, and I still forgot to ask you what you were all wearing. So there you go. That just shows how likely it is that anybody
So
cares.
are you going to start
what you're
wearing
wearing.
non-Panerais, or is it just going to be a
I don't
thing?
really
that
have
we're
any
going on?
non-pan.
Do you have anything else, Rick? Like a G-Shock?
I do. So what have we got? I mean, I've got a moon swatch.
What color?
I've got the Mission to Mars somewhere.
We can get you a Spinnaker for every day of the week.
How do you feel
If
about
would like to
SpongeBob?
SpongeBob, I don't really know much about SpongeBob. It's not
Would
really.
you like to learn?
Would you like to learn? Would you like? That sounds really threatening. Would you like to clap the puppy? Would you like to learn about SpongeBob? Would you like to learn? If you want
It's
to
not a
send me
euphemism.
your SpongeBob watches, then you feel free. I will gladly wear
I'll
them
sit
down.
you down and you can watch every episode.
Every episode. I'm thankfully past all of that, having to watch kids' TV shows.
No,
It
it's
is
for
'cause-
adults too.
Is it an adult show? Is it really? Is it one of
Mhm.
those kind of cartoons? So yeah, I don't really have that much else. There's a Bremen
You
kicking
need
about
more
somewhere.
color on your wrist. Okay, let's
There's a
start
Bremen
with the classic
somewhere?
orange.
It's.
What do you mean it's
I remember
somewhere?
I'm in the process of building a house. Everything's in boxes. This is the caravan life for the last 2.5 years. So yeah,
So
yeah.
a ceramic watch. Got it.
There are some watches around somewhere. Right. So let's actually go somewhere else. We were going to go to.
Rick, you
you're
could
wearing
get
the
along with the
hat.
U-boat. I think a U-boat on you might be an
Ooh, the
Yeah.
Chimera.
All
The
48
really weird
mil,
ones.
with
Yeah,
or
you-
without a bubble.
I mean, or maybe a Graham. You like weird crown things. What about those ones where it looks like an absolute fever dream of a crown protector? You could get along with a Graham.
We'll get. Remember the multicolor swordfish?
Is this a watch?
Yes, the Graham.
Oh, yeah. No, I have not seen this one.
Oh, it's iridescent case, but it's the swordfish that has like the two big eye. Anyways, it's weird. I thought of Rick when I thought of it. It's in the same vein as that Oceanus colors that David likes.
You'll be able to tell it from the same distance as your Panerai. I think we might.
Okay,
need-
that I think that should be my
So
criteria.
only old Graham and U-boat. That's
Only
from the
Graham
last 20
U-boats.
years. You have a lot of options, big sizes.
Right.
But if you just stick within those parameters, I think you can have a very versatile collection.
I think that the watch I would be tempted to buy as the equivalent to Panerai in terms of identification from a long way away was always a Breitling, what do you call it, emergency. I'd like a Breitling emergency
I
with
thought you
the
were going to
other
say like
with
Anonymous.
or anonymous, a Breitling emergency with the other watch style on it. I think that's where I need to go. So if Breitling would like to re-release or do an updated one of them, I'd maybe be tempted.
You want an emergency? I think they still make those.
Yeah, do they? Do they? I'm
not
sure.
We'll get in the emergency 2 with the mother of pearl dial. The one that one of the least sensical watches in modern history.
They make a solid white, or they used to make a solid white gold one that was fully set with diamonds, like the bracelet 2.
Somehow more
Me and
practical
David
than
could
the mother
share
of pearl dial one.
Yeah,
I can wear it when I want a big watch. David can wear it when he wants the bling.
Yep.
We'll share it.
I'm
We're
all
not
for
that
bling.
far away. I could stick it on a flight from Edinburgh.
I could see you in a Breitling. There's a lot of Breitling and Panerai energy that's shared. I could see you in.
Oh yeah.
See, the problem is we bought my daughter a Breitling, and so she's now the Breitling person in the household.
You can only have one. They'll fight. They'll bark at one another.
Highlanders. That's very Scottish of you.
It's how it works over here. There can be only one. So you gotta choose your.
So
brand.
wait, the one that you were making fun of is the one that you got.
The one I'm making fun of.
Wasn't that? Didn't you make fun of that Breitling?
Oh, possibly, yes. But we went out. Yeah, we went out shopping for what we thought was going to be most likely like an Omega 38mm Aquaterra type thing, and ended up coming back with a 44mm Breitling Navitimer. So there we go. Who says girls can't wear large watches? But there we have it. Anyway, right, we're getting lost in the weeds here as usual. Norcane, seeing as you're wearing the hat, the Norcane Independent Skeleton 40mm watch. And the brand continues to plug away at skeleton watches and trying to make them saleable items. At Ripley, has this one succeeded? Is this renders? This looks like renders.
I can only assume these are renders.
Yeah, these are renders.
These have existed in 42mm. Now we have 40mm. Norcane's been kind of filling out their collections with some of their more popular models with additional sizes. We've seen it with the Wild One. They've made smaller versions of it. Apparently, the skeleton versions of this model have been quite popular, and so they have now made this duo of smaller 40mm ones. Same movement and everything, so it's basically a chronometer certified skeletonized Sellita. Same movement essentially that you'll find inside the larger versions. Again, it's smaller in every dimension except the thickness. I believe the thickness is actually a tiny bit thicker. And one interesting thing to note, probably the most notable change other than just the size on these, is that rather than just having a open aperture in the dial, so there's just like the bare main plane of the movement there, and having the hour markers and the chapter ring extending from it, they've added a transparent surface to serve as the base layer of the dial in between. Now, what's the big deal about putting a clear layer in front of something that was otherwise open worked? This allows them to relocate the text to that clear surface, so it's no longer printed on the crystal, which I know a lot of people absolutely hate. So this is more in the Hublot fashion, where it's a transparent dial, despite all of the open working, and the text is printed on that.
Okay, look, $5,000 roughly for this watch.
Yeah, it is quite expensive.
Is it the miss, or is it the maybe 1, 2, 3 go? Miss, maybe 3 maybes and a miss. Ariel, why is it a maybe?
I'm glad that Ripley brought up the whole where the text was printed, because I've seen a return to that printing on the crystal in a lot of watches. Some of them skeletonized, some of them not. It can be done well. It's kind of weird to see it. So I'll have to see this one to say, how I feel. I've worn this watch. The cases, I like the cases a lot. It's a good size, even though the larger one doesn't bother me. And I asked Norcane, I was like, why do you keep doing skeletonized watches? And they kind of sell, they said for now they're selling. I'm not sure they quite understand it. I have very little interest in them. I mean, this watch looks independent of hands, right? That's the issue for me. So I like that they're trying to emphasize, oh, it's mechanical, it's cool. So I think that there's what we're seeing is that Norcane's actually doing well with sort of like novice watch lovers, who for them, this is very exciting and they don't have watches like this. But I think eventually they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can actually also read the time. I think that people kind of go full circle. I feel that being interested in full open work or semi-open work, you remember the open heart watches, or when Zenith for a while had that open heart thing. And I never see anyone who's a long-term enthusiast like those. It's kind of always for novices. So maybe that means that Norcane is selling to a lot of new watch buyers, which is great. But again, statistically speaking, they're not going to keep buying watches like this.
Does anyone ever buy a second skeleton dialed watch?
That's a really good question.
I mean, there's plenty of Richard Mille collectors and plenty of Hublot collectors.
Yeah, maybe at the real.
But that's
top
different.
end.
Like the whole point of this is to have like a miniature mechanical architecture. Like this is just skeletonized. Like after a couple of days, it's not as exciting to see the parts. You kind of like, okay, I get it. That's where that goes. That's neat. I feel like the novelty tends to wear off, and then you just get annoyed that it's hard to read the time.
Okay, David.
Yeah, I gave it a maybe. I think it's these are pretty cool looking watches. There's certainly some effort in them. I'm not a fan, but that's probably because I've been at this for quite some time. And as Arya says, it's more for the novice, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think, you know, if you're just getting into watches, or if you've been into watches for a couple of years, you will want to have a skeleton watch at some point, just to admire how it works, how it's put together, and why not offer that experience is something that is sporty looking, cool, rugged looking, adventure ready, whatever you want to call it. And this is sort of like that. So I think it's a very intelligently picked niche in the world of watches, and there's no surprise if it's doing well. The price is a little bit high, but then again, you get a little bit more for your money in terms of craftsmanship and stuff. I wish these were a couple grand less expensive, but then again, there's quite a bit of work that goes into them. So everyone can decide whether they want to shell out this much for this.
Ripley?
Yeah, I mean, for the person who just wants this aesthetic, there's lots of watches on the low end side of the spectrum that can check the box. God knows there's enough skeletonized watches with standard off the shelf movements. As David mentioned, this is executed to a higher standard. There's a bit more here. Just even the case finishing alone, it's not just brushed and polished. Those little recessed sections are sandblasted. You get the little plate on the side you can engrave. It's a maybe for me. I kind of prefer the skeletonized Norcanes when it's the wild one, where it's sort of like their version of the Richard Mille thing, where it's like this modern, colorful sports watch with that showcases that it's mechanical. This is very much like a nice version of like a sort of skeleton mall watch. And I don't, that sounds pejorative and like it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is for those who want a skeletonized watch that's sporty. This is a very palatable timepiece and a very versatile style. And as Ariel mentioned, they wouldn't keep doing if they weren't a success commercially. So they're clearly selling them. This brings it to a much wider range of buyers, being at that 40 mil mark. So it's a maybe. You know, I don't think this is a bad or offensive. I like that they've repositioned the text. So all things I like that it's smaller. So all things compared to the previous version, I think this is a positive direction. It's not the watch for me, certainly not at the price point. But for someone who's looking for a skeletonized watch, that's a cut above sort of that standard fare $1,000 offering, this is going to be quite nice and, you know, deliver and make you happy.
Yeah, it's a mess. They need to stop it. Stop it now. It's a fad. It's going to pass. You need to get ahead of the curve before everybody suddenly wakes up to the fact that they don't want another one of these. So you're going to sell to everybody once, and that's it. You need there needs to be something. I just don't get it. I think yeah. No, not for me. It's a mess. Okay. Breaking New Beats makes a point in the chat that if Chrono29 dark mode does not enable a black market side to watch sales, he wants nothing to do with it. So
here, sir.
As an interesting angle, you can go to dark mode to trade the watches with the auction houses for all that fancy cryptocurrency, cyber currency, whatever it is. Right, you've seen the one side of the skeletonized watches. Let's see for our final hit miss, maybe already been mentioned by the other side of the skeletonized watches. This is the Richard Mille RM3001 Le Mans Classic watch. David, you had a look at this.
What year is it? This is basically 2005. You know, looking at you.
Yeah,
how can they get
point.
away with this? Honestly, I don't get it.
David, come on, David. You put a lot of effort into this article. It's a very enjoyable
Yeah.
article. You should go and check
Thank
it
you.
out. So, yeah,
Look at
I
that
mean, it's
long
got.
list. Look
It's
at the Richard Mille recipe here. I mean,
Mhm.
they know that they're just sailing from now on. Basically, it's just they just make 6,000 watches, sell them all. That's great. I'm happy for Richard Mille. I like the brand. I like the design actually overall of this case, of the strap. It's great to wear, lovely to wear. It's a fantastic piece of engineering turned up to 11, of course. But at the same time, it's also sometimes almost cynical. This is almost cynical in the sense that if you look at that list of things, I put this 6-strong list of details, technical specifications that they burden their customers with, so as to justify the price. Scroll down a little bit; it's going to be
yeah,
there.
I'm going to find
The
that.
I
screws,
think
right?
there it is.
They
No.
love the
Look at
screws.
this. If you visit the product page, it says patented clutchable variable geometry rotor. It has a shock protection from aBlog. That's 908.22.211.100. Brackets transparent. It's like, who gives a hoot where shock protection? You have shock protection in a basic ETA, probably from aBlog. So it's just balance moment of inertia 4.8. I don't even know what the measurement of that is. It's like none of their customers do, and yet all of the balance wheels in all the watches have moment of inertia. So either you explain whether this is a lot or not that much.
It's a good
I like how
or
Ripley,
bad.
we just lost Ripley.
Instantaneous
Instantaneous.
oversized date display.
I added
Everybody
a
knows that
question mark,
Richard Mille owners have got a semi-instantaneous oversized date
yeah.
display.
So
Okay,
is
I have to comment here, but go ahead, Ripley, go.
I was going to ask, so in the shock protection, if we're going to get really into the weeds, it says transparent. Does that mean that the jewel in the shock protector housing is transparent rather than, say pinkish red?
Probably. It's probably a no cost option from the supplier,
Okay.
but yes.
If you're just come out of the blue and you see a Richard Mille press release, you're going to be insanely confused as to why it's written the way it is, why they're making a big deal of what they're doing. Here's
Why
what
it's
I've
3
seen.
terabytes?
This all began in the past with Patek Philippe. I don't know if they do it anymore, but Patek Philippe used to have the most ludicrous, over-the-top press releases. They were pages long, like paper clipped together with like supplemental materials and stuff like that. Like it was just so much to do over nothing. And the whole point was to make you seem very impressed. Richard Mille kind of has the same thing. They're trying to overwhelm you with superfluous technical data that you don't need to know or that isn't actually impressive in the attempt to try to make this seem out to be like a much more technical thing. Like, oh, there's people out there that need this specification. This sounds like a serious product. Almost as like they were trying to market an F1 car. It's a marketing technique. No, nobody needs to know this information. And again, much of it is not remarkable for this watch, meaning there's other watches that do it, or it's not that big of a deal.
Yes.
But this is trying to get people who don't know better to be more excited than maybe they should be about this product. Not that the watches aren't cool, but that's the strategy.
Yeah, they should put superfluous chronometer on it rather than superlative chronometer. Superfluous chronometer. We don't need this. Okay, right. Let's give it a vote. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? Okay, where does he go? Miss. 2 maybes and a miss. Ariel,
all maybes
rank a maybe. Yeah, all misses for me, actually, I think. Go on there, Ariel.
Look, again, if you handed it to me, I'd be like, oh, I know it's comfortable. It's definitely cool looking. It's by no means my favorite Richard Mille in the world. I could care less about the Le Mans Classic. I mean, I don't associate this futuristic watch with what I assume are older cars at all. That none of that makes sense to me. It's like the worst fit. So there's that issue. These colors are okay, but they feel like they're designed for a golf course, which I'm not on all the time. So it's sort of like free Richard Mille, great, but like it's unbelievably low on my list if I suddenly had Richard Mille money.
David?
Yeah, I actually there are certain details that I like. I like how they kind of sort of, if you squint really hard, it maybe vaguely resembles details of a racetrack, the dial. Just barely. It looks like a destroyed racetrack. Yeah. And these are comfy to wear. Clearly, a lot of effort goes into all these things, as it damn well should for this price, which is, I don't even know what it is. I don't remember. It was like 100 and something thousand. But it looks like something they could have debuted 20 years ago, and 220,000 Swiss francs. Okay, there we go.
God.
So see, it's like I like the declutchable variable geometry rotor. That's a cool thing, especially that it does it automatically. So whenever the watch is fully wound at 55 hours or whatever the power reserve is, it declutches, and when it reaches 40 hours, it re-engages so that it winds it up again. So it's not like it's just.
But the
not
variable
spinning
geometry
freely.
you need the watchmaker to change, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. It's half a year. It goes back to a service, and then no, it's probably not that long, but it's quite a bit. But probably you can pick up these screwdrivers from AliExpress or something, so you can you can do it for yourself. Anyway, comfy to wear, cool looking. You are in the top 1% of the top 1% if you have one of these on. So there's clearly a lot of status that Richard Mille has very carefully. It is taking good care of it, right? They have not ruined it. They have not gotten too greedy. They are not producing 60,000 watches. They're just producing 6,000. They're just sailing now. Then that's okay. I just wish that they had done something a little bit more or less, depending on whether you're looking at the watch or the press release or the way it's presented.
Ripley?
I said it's a miss. I like Richard Mille quite a bit, but as Ariel mentioned, they're from a thematic perspective, a like hyper modern high-tech watch for a classic car race. It just doesn't really make sense. Some of the details on the dial seem a bit kitschy and gift shoppy, like the little checkered thing, and not like racing dial sort of checkered thing, like the little checkered flag thing around like the date window or whatever. It's just not the one I would get among pretty much all of their watches. I'd end up choosing something else over this one. So, and at this price point too, I feel like you're free to be selective. As Ariel said, free Richard Mille, absolutely. I don't think I'd turn down a single thing they'd make, but this one would be really, really low down on my list of the ones I'd actually buy for myself.
Yeah. For me though, I mean, I know it's a collaboration watch, but can they not collaborate with someone that's got a better logo? Especially seen as Ariel points out, the Le Mans
Well, why in
Classic
God's name at
bears
220,000
very
Swiss
little.
francs have they not found some sexy way to integrate that into the movement or on a bridge or something like that? It just looks so cheap, with it just sprayed on there like that.
I mean, it looks like the kind of thing you get in a roadside diner as like the logo on a menu.
Yeah, like we change oil or
F1
something.
diner at the side of the road.
I mean,
Truck
charge 250,000 Swiss francs and put that somewhere else on the watch. At this point, it's funny money, but like find a better way
Put
to
it on the
integrate
instruction manual and the case and nowhere near the watch. Just don't put it on the watch at all.
Guys,
just include...
I have a call. I gotta bounce. Catch you guys next week.
See you later.
Sorry.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, just don't put it on the watch at all. Would be the secret. But there we go. Yeah, it's a miss from me. Anyway, there we have it. Right, we shall continue a little bit post-match on the live channel for those that want to go and check that out. But for the main show, that is us for this week, and we will see you all again in a week or so's time. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
And thank you to those that have stuck around in the chat. Chat incredibly busy this morning. Good to see you all. Some new people there as well. Anything exciting happening this week in the world of watches? Who's your money on? What brand is your money on for the most ridiculous press release in the next 7 days? Who do we think? Pick a brand.
You just love betting, don't you?
Well, can it be anything, or does it have to be watch related? Because sometimes
it could be anything.
If you think
there's someone, if you think there's someone else that's gonna take the biscuit on this, we're open. We should open Hit Miss maybe to everything. Actually, we should be able to just bring anything to Hit Miss. Maybe latest consumer electronics, houses for sale, cars, album releases, anything you like. But I am.
I'd like to review music.
Oh, music. Well, let's review some music next week. What music would you review?
Let's start with the aBlogtoWatch theme song.
You tell me what to review. I listen to it, a whole album, whatever.
Okay. All right, there we go. Right. If anyone's still in the chat, what should Ariel... You get those videos, Americans try British food for the first time. I tell you what, I'm gonna think of the most British band I can think of that never made it big
Find
in America.
Find a bagpipe album, like a record of bagpipe concertos.
Okay,
and just
no. What? So for next week, your review has to be. Let me just check that I've got
I've
the
been
name
listening
right.
to a lot of Black Sabbath. Okay.
No, right. You need to listen for next week to the Red Hot Chili Pipers. Okay.
Darn, it's so close to something I liked.
Red Hot Chili Pipers as the Scottish content and is the most British band I can think of that never made it big in America, and we will review them next week. You also have to listen to Status Quo. So there you go. Red Hot Chili Pipers and Status Quo is your music review for next week, and we will add that. If anybody else still in the chat would like to suggest anything, the Smiths, Boris is suggesting the Smiths. Okay, so there's 3 particularly eclectic options for next week: the Red Hot Chili Pipers, the Smiths, and Status Quo. You ain't going to get more of a broad range than that for our first ever music review on a Blog to Watch weekly.
I sort of feel sorry that I mentioned anything about it.
Oh, I'm dead excited. I'm dead excited now. I'll send you links.
I mean, I don't know enough about piping music to say whether it is good or not in the comparison value. Like, you know.
Oh no, you'll be able to tell if this
what
is
is
good.
piping music, like with a flute or
No,
bagpipe.
that's okay. I should
Oh.
also say this is bagpipe. I will say
it's not a pipe organ. This is bagpipe.
Piping music's the way
sure.
it's referred to,
sure.
not bagpipe music.
In fact,
like a pan flute type of thing.
What I've just discovered, let me see if I can do this without blowing your ears off, is that the Red Hot Chili Pipers have actually covered a Status Quo song. It would appear. So hold on, let's see how loud this is going to be.
Oh
God. No, that doesn't.
So
there we go. Can you hear that?
Just listen to more Ozzy Osbourne.
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, I'm sure they'll have done something particularly.
He played his last
well.
show. I think that was the whole point.
He did. No, but I'm sure the Red Hot Chili Pipers have done several heavy metal songs. Anyway, suggestion: the AP will be the ones. 12 separate emails for only 10 watches being released. And Ariel should try and listen to some speedcore music. Right, so we want Ariel's feedback after he's listened.
I don't know what that is, but I like the sound of that.
I know. Let's check that out. So that'll be our 4 then: Speedcore, Status Quo, the Smiths.
Is that a genre? Is that
I have
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I have my I have my guess, but I'm not going to give it away for which brand's going to give them most meaningless thing this week.
Okay, right. Well, on that note, we will see how our first ever music review goes next week. I'll send you all links. All righty. Thanks for listening. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.